Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Continuing on with MLB Tuesday, Marlins Mets. In this one, we'll go through all 15 games on the live show. That's at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. We'll do WNBA first. Then we'll go through every single game on the board, make our final decisions. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see in the comments. Marlins Mets, City Field. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
All right, like I said, Marlins are on the road in Queens here, and the Mets are short home favorites, minus 135. Total sitting at 7.5. We got Jesus Luzardo pitching for the Marlins. Meatball Megill. Tylor Megill is on the mound for the Mets. Take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we got a pretty strong lean on the Mets here. 1.96 to 3.1 after 5 innings. Final score 3.74 to 5.27, both leaning towards the Mets. All right, so let's take a look at this matchup, and we'll start with some Meatball Megill numbers. He was looking like his old self in his last start. Even 2 whip, 5.32 expected FIP, 7.20 ERA. That being said, it was on the road. Both his home starts this year have been excellent. In his 2 home starts, he's got an 0.82 ERA and an 0.91 whip. So both his starts at home in Citi Field have been lights out. And he's matched up against the Marlins lineup, which is always good news if you're a starting pitcher. In the last 14 days, the Marlins against right-handed pitching, 19th, 18th, and 20th. In the last 7 days, back at 26th across the board. You can see the last 6 righty starters to pitch against the Marlins, they combine for a 2.86 ERA and a 1.02 whip. So the Marlins have not been getting to righty starters at all, and they're certainly not hitting on the road. In fact, they're one of the worst road lineups in baseball. In the last 30 days, 30th in WRC+, 29th in WOBA, 29th in OPS, 30th in WOBA. Same exact numbers on the full season. So this is not a lineup you can count on the road. And to add on to that, Meatball Megill's actually been great against the Marlins. His last 2 starts against Miami, he's 2-0 with a 1.64 ERA and a 1.18 whip. So he's had no problems with this team in the past. Overall, I think it's a great spot for Megill. I mean, obviously, last start didn't go as planned. But this season as a whole, he's definitely improved from last year. And I think this is a perfect bounce-back spot for him at home where he's been really good against a bad Marlins lineup. So I think Megill deals here. On the other side, we got Jesus Luzardo. And man, I don't know if the wheels are falling off for this guy. In his last 2 starts, he's got a 10.45 ERA, a 1.94 whip. Expected FIP at 4.24 indicates he's had some bad luck, but good Lord. And this game is on the road in Citi Field, which is never good news for Jesus Luzardo. That's dating back the last couple years, but this year especially, ERA on the road up at 6.48. Look at the WOBA, a full 100 points higher on the road. Strikeout to walk ratio way down, whip way up, expected FIP way up. All the numbers significantly worse on the road. Now, the good news for Luzardo is he's pitched really well against the Mets. In his last 4 starts against the Mets, he's 2-1 with a 1.08 ERA and an 0.88 whip. He's absolutely dealt when he's seen this Mets lineup. But here's the thing. This year's Mets lineup is a lot different than the Mets lineup we've seen in the last few years. The Mets are usually a terrible lineup against lefties. They are crushing lefties right now. I mean, they're actually one of the hotter lineups in baseball. It's not really getting talked about. In the last 14 days, the Mets are 4th in WRC+, 5th in OPS, 6th in WOBA. In the last 7 days, 1st, 2nd, and 2nd. And look at their numbers against left-handed pitching. In the last 14 days, they're 1st across the board. Again, this is one of the hottest lineups in baseball against lefties. The last 5 lefty starters to pitch against the Mets, they combine for a 9.26 ERA and a whip over 2. So the Mets have been crushing lefty starters, and they're even starting to come around at home. Now, the Mets have been road warriors all year. They've been scoring runs on the road, but they never can score at home. In the last 14 days, we're starting to see things turn around, 7th, 12th, and 12th. So I know Luzardo has definitely given the Mets problems recently in this last handful of starts, but I think it's a great spot for the Mets. I think they get to him. So like the Mets through the first 5, we take a look at the bullpens. This is where you got to give the edge to Miami. These 2 bullpens are heading in opposite directions, basically. Earlier in the season, the Marlins bullpen was terrible, and the Mets bullpen was great. It's the opposite now. The Marlins bullpen has actually been producing. Mets have not. Mets bullpen also has been pretty trash at home. Expected FIP up at 5th recently, indicating they've had some bad luck, but still, Marlins definitely have the bullpen edge. But here's the thing. Offensively, in the late innings, you couldn't get more night and day different. The Marlins, one of the worst lineups in baseball, hitting from inning 6+. So in the late innings, the Marlins never score runs, and the Mets have been one of the most productive lineups in baseball in the late innings. So that kind of evens out the bullpen matchup. Overall, I think this is way too short of a price. I didn't actually pull the trigger on this one yet, but At minus 135, it would only be Mets here. So it'll be Mets money line, Mets first 5 run line, somewhere in there. You know what? I probably will play that Mets first 5 run line. Like I said, didn't bet it yet, but Mets first 5 run line, Mets money line for me. Like I said earlier, the live show's at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. We'll go through every single game on the board. If you want my top bets or the top bets from everyone on the staff here, or you want to join the Discord or get in on our weekly betting league, just head over to KyleKirms.com and sign up for Sauce Network Plus. All the information's on there. Let's have ourselves a nice Tuesday night. Tuesday's always a great baseball night. 15 games. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.